Shalom. Let's talk about the Days of Unleavened Bread. The Days of Unleavened Bread are 7 days which come directly after Passover. Okay? And to give you the exact date this year when the Days of Unleavened Bread start, it's in April. And since Passover is from sunset April 8th to sunset April 9th, and that is the 14th of Aviv, the first day of unleavened bread begins at sunset on April the 9th, which is a Thursday. Okay? So April the 9th, Thursday, at sunset, is when the days of unleavened bread begin. And you should have all the leavening out of your house by then, and out of your car, and out of your apartment, your dorm room, or anything that you possess or own. You should have all the leavening out. And you cannot transfer your leavening into your camper, or your station wagon, or your garage, or your country home, and then after the days of unleavened bread, bring it back. That's not the idea. You're not going to cheat Yahweh or yourself. You're missing the point, actually. You need to plan and stop buying any leavening right now. Don't buy that extra huge box of crackers, bread, or whatever it is, or yeast. Get rid of it now. If you have any left over, a few days before Passover if you want. Some people do this weeks before, but you really just have to do it the day before if you want. Get all of the leavening out of your house and throw it out. One little trick, if you ever if you find leavening in your house, something leavened with baking soda, yeast, or baking powder in your house during the days of unleavened bread, you're not going to get struck down by a bolt of lightning, hopefully. You should just take it and you should get rid of it. And one way to get it out of your house very quickly, especially if it's not a very big amount, is you can flush it down the toilet. Just so you know that. If you have, hopefully you have flushable toilets in your house. If you have a little bit of yeast, a little package of yeast, and you don't want to put it out in your garbage, because then it's going to still sit there on your premises for the rest of that time. You could just flush it out, or you could pour it down the drain if it's not too much. But if you have even like a slice of bread or something like that, that can be broken up and flushed down the toilet too. Just so you know that, a little trick from experience of not cleaning all of the leavening out of my apartment or my house perfectly well. But see, this is why you do this, because it's symbolic of how difficult it is to get every last bit of sin out of our lives. And that's why we're getting the leavening out. Not to just do some kind of ritualistic thing. It's a balance of, we're doing the more importantly, the spiritual aspect of getting sin out of our life. But then Yahweh gives us these physical things as a remembrance, as a reminder. It helps us to remember what we're doing. And if you just say you're going to do it spiritually, you'll see you miss this symbolic. You miss it. You're missing so much of the spiritual aspect. Because every year, those of us who do this, you just, I don't know, during that week, you find out, you open up your backpack or a bag that you have, and you see you left an energy bar or a cracker or something there, and there is, and it reminds you. You shouldn't feel, oh, terrible, I sinned. You just take it and you get rid of it, you throw it out. But it does remind you how sin creeps up in our life, that it is a constant struggle, and that's why we need Yahweh to help us to overcome. And it's impossible to get all of the sin out of your life right now, and thankfully we have Yeshua, the Messiah, to cover our sins. But you should do it. You should still do it, because it has so many lessons, and you'll see when you do it this year during the full 7 days. So on the first day, it's a holy day. You keep it as a Sabbath. This year it coincides with Friday, April 10th. Friday, April 10th. The second Friday in April is a holy day, but you start keeping it just like any other Sabbath from the sunset of the night before, April 9th. At sunset is when this holy day starts. And for that whole day, you keep it as a Sabbath. So you're going to have 2 Sabbaths back to back, Friday and then Saturday. Okay, so on that Sabbath, it's a holy day, so you keep it as a holy day, as a Sabbath, and so you don't work or anything like that, or buy or sell, and you have a service on that day. You do a Bible study and or a service, or listen to a sermon, or give a sermon, and the most appropriate thing would be to talk about the symbolism of the Days of Unleavened Bread. You're not obligated to talk about that. You could talk about other things too, but it would be good to go over those that subject. And then for the next 7 days, you don't eat or consume or have in your house any unleavened bread. So make sure you didn't order any Girl Scout cookies for that week to come to your house, because you cannot have them in your house. You'd have to throw them away. Okay. So then you have a Sabbath on the first day, which is the 10th, Friday the 10th, which is actually the 15th day of Aviv. And then you have your last Sabbath on the 7th day, which is the 16th, is April the 16th. It's the 21st day of Aviv. So the first holy day is on April 10th, and the last holy day is on April 16th, of course, starting at sunset on April 15th, okay? Because it's from sunset to sunset. But basically it coincides with the day Thursday, April the 16th is the last holy day, and that's another annual Sabbath. It's the second annual Sabbath of the year, and you keep it as a Sabbath from sunset to sunset. Sunset Wednesday to sunset Thursday. So it coincides with April 16th, and you keep it as the last holy day. At sunset on April 16th, that Thursday, from sunset on, you can eat leavening again, and you can have leavening in your house, okay? Remember, when you're out around town, you can work during that whole week, just not on those 2 days, Friday and Thursday. When you're out, you cannot consume any leavening. Be careful, don't go out and have a slice of pizza, a hoagie, a hamburger, a hot dog, or anything with bread. Be careful with Kentucky Fried Chicken or breaded chicken. That's bread. Anything with breadcrumbs in it, or bread, or leavening, that is leavening. You can consume liquids that contain yeast, like beer or something like that, because that's not bread. That's not a raised leavened product like cake or anything like that. So that's basically what you do for that whole week. You keep the leavening out of your life. Now, for the entire year, you try to fight to get all sin out of your life, but for that week, you get the leavening out of your house, and that's how you keep it. And on those 2 days, each year, that first and the 7th day of Passover will land on 2 different days. It can be, and sometimes it lands on a Sabbath and then on a Friday, or on a Sunday and then a Saturday. It's different every year, but it's the 15th and the 21st day of that month. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention is there is something called the night to be much observed, or the night to be much remembered. And that was the night that the Israelites went out of Egypt after the Passover, and it was a joyous night. So some people have a big dinner with many brethren on that night, and you could do that. And that's at the very beginning of the Days of Unleavened Bread. So when do they begin? They begin at sunset on the 15th. Okay, so right when the 14th is ending and the 15th is beginning at sunset, and that coincides with Thursday, April the 9th at sunset. So right after sunset, you can have that very nice big dinner, and that starts the Days of Unleavened Bread. Of course, needless to say, you shouldn't have any leavening in that meal. You can check for different unleavened recipes and products online. There's lots of websites that talk about unleavened recipes, how to make many things. So I hope you enjoy the Days of Unleavened Bread this year, and you get a lot of meaning out of it. Please pray about it and ask Yahweh to inspire you to understand what the meaning is, and what it means connected with Yeshua too, and his sacrifice for us. Shalom.